Hi, I'm Eleanor Meyerhofer, a native Californian designer and digital strategist. In October of 1999, a few years after graduating from design school, I flew from San Francisco to Munich with a fistful of Deutschmarks, a dial-up connection, and an extremely vague plan. 20 plus years later, after a 10-year stint at a global agency, freelancing, and launching 2 online businesses, I'm still here. Now I'm talking to other expat business owners to share knowledge, stories, and inspiration for other non-Germans running businesses in Germany. I am here with Olivia Iordanescu, who I know but never say her last name. I know her through WEM, and we met at a conference in June. And I'm going to ask you, Olivia, the question I ask everybody on this podcast, which can you tell me the 2-minute story of how you ended up in Germany?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's so nice to be with you. You're doing a really great job with the podcast, and I'm happy that such a podcast exists in Germany. So thank you for that. Um, and you just pronounced my name perfectly. I love it. I love the
Phew.
sound of it from you, from your mouth. Uh, but how the 2-minute story is Germany was never on our list, so to say. So my husband and I had 3 kids, and then when our oldest son was coming of school age, so to say, we decided this is the time to move abroad. We've always wanted to do this, both of us. But after we met, we fell in love, and it was all butterflies. And somehow the abroad plan came last. And then we had kids. But we thought, this is the time to do it. If we don't do it now, it's never going to happen. And so we started looking at the UK and the Netherlands because they're both speaking English mainly, right? And Germany was never on our list, but that's what happened for my husband's career. The opportunity came from Germany, and it really sounded crazy at the time, but I said, what the hell? Let's do it, and it just worked out. Everything worked out. And I'm glad we did this because we really love Germany.
Okay. And you're originally from Romania, correct? Okay.
Yes, I'm originally from Romania. My husband is Romanian. And yeah, here we are.
Okay. So sorry, it's been how many years that you've been here total?
5.
5. Okay. Okay. So not
It was
forever,
right.
not just a year.
Yeah, it was right before the pandemic. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. Yeah, because it was an interesting experience for us here. I mean, we enjoyed it. We had so much freedom. We could go outside with nature, right? It was nice.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could do that. That's true. And you live, sorry, where? You don't live here. You live in Stuttgart, around Stuttgart, correct?
I live in the Rhineland-Pfalz, close to
Okay.
Mannheim. So it's
Okay.
called the Rhein-Neckar-Kreis,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Okay. All right. So yes, everywhere in Germany there is like usually some beautiful nature to get to, and I think that made the pandemic easier to deal with for a lot of us. Okay, but let's talk about your business. You have a business called Spot Legal, and you have a background as a lawyer. So why don't you're the like second lawyer I've talked to in the last couple months. So why don't you tell me about how you got the idea for your business and what it is?
Yeah, so I came from corporate. I worked 14 years in Bucharest in multinational corporations. And in my last role, I was head of legal for a multimedia channel company. And when I came to Germany, I was still working for this company from this role, managing a team. And we were also really in the midst of being acquired, actually raising funding from the Blackstone investment fund. And We were house searching, my husband and I, in Germany, and at the same time managing this transaction for my company, which was like a roller coaster. But just, having that experience of doing a project of this size was really inspiring to me, like what I'm able to do. And I could do this on a bigger scale for more clients. And I think there was a turning point there because I gave up my corporate job, which was nicely paid, and I had plenty of challenge professionally even in the coming future, so to say, to start my own law practice, whatever that looked like, right? The idea itself of the platform, of the spotlegal.io platform with the legal templates, came to me from the fact that there were a lot of people calling me throughout my career asking me for templates. I mean, I've had from CFOs to founders to other lawyers. Everyone was calling me to say, like, hey, Olivia, can you share with me a template of the X agreement? And I was like, yeah, sure. Here it is, you know? And at some point, I was like, yeah, I mean, that means either one of two things. First of all, they're good. They like using them. They're simple, right? They're straightforward. They know my work and they rely on the quality of the template. And second, there's a need for this, and people don't have anywhere to turn to. And that's how the idea of the spotlegal.io platform started. And I launched it in 2022 while I was here in Germany. And I had already left my corporate job. And at the same time, I launched my own law office, my own practice out of Germany, which seemed really difficult in the beginning. But as it turns out, yeah, it wasn't that much of a big deal, so to say.
Okay. I just want to clarify. So when you were still in Bucharest, you were head of legal at a a corporate job, but you also had your own company as well in Romania
No,
that you
no,
were
no, no,
selling
no,
to
no.
Blackstone.
I
Oh, okay.
started I started all of this while being in Germany after
Okay.
moving to Germany. Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm curious, who were the people asking you for templates?
Like I said, CFOs, there were coworkers, people who have been my colleagues but have left and started their own businesses, other lawyers,
but these were people in Romania or people in Germany?
people in Romania at the time. I was
Okay.
still living there when I got the idea, but I only implemented it when I moved to Germany.
Okay. Okay. And who was your target audience when you started Spot Legal?
That came later. Like I started to work on the product and to really define who would this be for and all of this after I launched. I know it sounds
Okay.
crazy,
No,
but
it
in the
doesn't.
beginning I didn't have, right, such a clear idea of what I want to do with the platform, how it's going to, who is it for. I didn't have all of this figured out, but I was also at a point where, I just have to do it. And I didn't know I was going to figure it out because I remember when I launched, I was really stuck and scared and like, I don't have all these answers, right? And
Mhm.
it was interesting because a lot of the business advisory coaches and whatnot, right, that were available, like in the pandemic, there was like a growing, right, offer of these type of services. And I had my share of business consultancy. I had my share of business mentors and coaches and so on, and everyone was kind of pushing for this, who is your ideal client, who is this for, and I know myself from experience working with startups, it's super important to at least have that minimum viable product. And I kind of had the product, but I didn't know who it's for. And I
Mhm.
figured this out along the way, basically.
Mhm. Okay. And then my question is like, all legal and tax stuff is like many other entrepreneurs, very scary to me. And so one of the things that's confusing for me as a person whose business is based in Germany, but I do a lot of remote work for people all over the world. It's
Mm.
like contract law. Like, first of all, every country is different. Like, how do you know what country to get your contract in and where it's valid? Like, I just finished a project for a client in California, and like there's some line in the contract I have that's like, it will be determined by a court in Bavaria, which I'm like, I hope nothing happens because I have no idea how that's supposed to work. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And you are right in saying that, it's different from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. We say basically from country to country. And even in Germany, because it's a federal state, and there are several states within the federal state, they all have their own national rules. And even though we are in the European Union and some of the legal areas have been harmonized and there are rules and regulations, the national factor, the national element, the local element is still very relevant and important. And how do you scale a business? And when we talked a little bit about the preparation, or we wrote about the preparation of this interview, you did mention there that you would ask me, how is this different from other legal templates businesses or legal solutions that are now present in the market? I think this is where I come in, because I do have this international experience, and because I have worked with corporate clients in-house, is not strange to me. Actually, that was my day to day. How do I make the solution of this local player an internationally viable solution? So to come back to your question, the rule of thumb is, especially if you're a freelancer, right?
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, you don't have a legal entity, they're a limited liability company that protects you and your personal assets and separates, right, that from the business. It's really, really important all the time to go for the law of the place of business, so where you are
Mm.
located, because that's where you can get access to legal protection in principle quickly. There are challenges to that, even in Germany, I have to admit, in the sense that I still myself have the experience, and I know my clients have this experience, that legal services are not very accessible. And I
Mhm.
don't necessarily mean the price by that, but like, where do I find a lawyer?
Yeah.
And where do I find an expert that can help me, a specialist, that kind of challenge. So, you don't want to, let's take an example, like in your case, you are based in Munich, right, in Bavaria, and your
Mhm.
client is based in the USA. And I could say, Eleanor, go for UK law. It's the most friendly jurisdiction. It's also the most popular jurisdiction. I know this from experience, right? Because what's really nice about the common law approach is that you can really agree a lot of the things by in contract. That's the law of the parties, right? But then and then say something bad happens.
Mhm.
You're not getting paid by your client. Are you going to sue them in a court in London?
Yeah.
Or I don't know,
Yeah.
and then hire a lawyer there, and then it ends up costing a fortune. Of course,
Yeah.
that's reckless. And you want to bring them as close as possible to yourself. Like
Yeah.
that, that's That's the spirit. Then, of course, comes the question of, is this court going to accept a contract that it's in English and
English,
not in
yeah.
German and blah, blah, blah. So, there's many sides to it. And that's why at the end of the day, I can't say this is the solution for you. Even though I created a legal templates form, the intention is to kind of walk the clients through a journey where I get to be closer to them in understanding their business, what's their factual situation, but also like what are their plans going forward? What do they want to achieve? And actually offer a tailored service to them.
So that's a good segue into, let's talk about like how your contracts and your offers work. So what if we go to your site, and we'll put this all in the show notes, and I buy a contract, say for a web designer, like how does the whole process work?
Well, you can just purchase the template. This has happened, and then the customer doesn't want anything to do with me. It's fine, because that's why I started the thing in the first place. Remember, like people were just asking for templates. Okay, sure, here it is. And there, like I said, there's been customers who've done just that. They purchased a non-disclosure agreement or an associate coach agreement or whatever. And it was a one-time thing, and that's one option, because you get a document, the ad document, that you can then populate with your company details or freelancing details. And there's some instructions that you get as well. You're not completely, alone in this. And there's always customer support, and you can reach out if you get really, really stuck. And then there is the option where you buy a bundle, and the bundles are basically conceived for freelancers and startup businesses who are just launching. They're in the very early stage. And this is a more comprehensive package of what they need in order to launch. And this isn't a full service, but there is a touch of customization that included in this. And what I mean by that is that I've had situations, for instance, where coaching professionals or consultants were combining different tools in their practice, like a multi-modal, so to say, practice where you do trainings, you do corporate engagements, you do speaking engagements, you do coaching, you combine all these tools. And then there I try to give a little bit of support in how to actually implement the documents, because it's not that straightforward, right? And then there are people who just don't want to do it themselves and they need the support, and it's not that they don't want to do it themselves. They want to have that peace of mind that whatever was done, it was done by a qualified attorney. And yeah, they just want to have that for themselves. And that is not on the legal templates in the spotlegal.io platform. That's working one-on-one with me, where we have an onboarding call. I really get to understand the business, like, all the facets, so to say. And it may be that the bundle is enough and I do myself or all the customization, or it may be that there's something else there. Like, for instance, they need a compliance program on the privacy side because they're building an app or a software as a service that entails processing of personal data, and we need to build a little bit more in the background, in the back end of the business, not only, website terms and things like that.
Okay. A couple of questions. Okay, so just to clarify, so when you buy a template, when a person buys a template, they in essence get a file, like an editable file.
Yeah,
They download.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just as you're talking, I'm thinking so this is going to be season 3, and the last episode of season 2, I talked to Laura, who's a lawyer as well, who we both know. So I think this will be interesting to people, especially like people with professional qualifications. So do you have to have like German qualifications to do this work in Germany, or are your Romanian qualifications okay because of the type of law? Like that's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Yes. So it really depends on whether or not there are two criteria. First one is, do you have a professional title in your home country, which basically says you are a qualified attorney, member of a regulated profession?
Mhm,
In my case, we're called Avocat, not
mhm,
Rechtsanwalt or Rechtsanwältin.
mhm,
And so you first need to have this. And second, you submit like a whole documentation to the local bar association where you want to practice.
mhm,
And they have to assess whether or not they are taking you in. Now, this assessment, while it's dependent on you submitting the relevant documentation, and that's not rocket science, right? You just provide whatever proof you have from your local bar association and so on and so forth. It's still, discretionary, so to say. So I can't tell you, yeah, you will be 100% accepted, but the legislation for attorneys, for qualified attorneys, has evolved a lot in the sense that it's a liberal profession, and no one can tell you you cannot practice as a lawyer if you already obtained that title wherever you are in the world,
mhm.
basically. And I think that's such accomplishment for the legal profession. And yeah, it's really good that this is possible now, which was not possible 10 years ago, right?
Okay. So if I heard you correctly, you have to submit all your paperwork and they may or may not accept you, but there's no hard and fast rule. Like you said, it's discretionary. So that is fascinating to me because, like, at least in Bavaria, they were so and I'm talking about our Eltern initiative. Like, we wanted to hire kindergarten teachers, and they would not recognize foreign, like people that led schools in the UK. I mean, we're not talking about people that just fell off the Apple truck. And it was very frustrating about how stubborn, maybe that's just a
Yeah.
Bavarian thing, but, and then I've worked with a lot of people that are therapists and they have their qualifications from California. Again, not like, somewhere, and they're not recognized here. Although, to be fair, in the States, each state has to recognize it. So it's just in these professions where you have to have certain qualifications, it's very interesting to me about what you can and cannot do where and what you can call yourself and all this. But so
Mm.
if I understand you right, you are allowed to practice law. So would you have been allowed to practice law even if you hadn't gone through this process?
Mm. Yes, but then I wouldn't be able to set up a Kanzlei here in Germany, have professional insurance here in
Mm,
Germany as a
okay.
qualified attorney. I would be doing that from my, ca- how to say, from my law office in Romania
Okay.
while living in
Okay.
Germany, doing my tax statements and everything, of course,
Yeah.
because I'm a resident here from a tax perspective, but I wouldn't be benefiting from all this legal framework that is available in Germany for practicing the law. So mm, I guess at the end of the day, if you are a qualified attorney, I don't see this as an issue. Yes, of course, there is still this really tiny chance that they might say no, but it's actually not that arbitrary because there is a list of all qualified attorney professional titles from other states. It's not just an EU thing. For EU attorneys, it is automatic. You still have to do the paperwork, but they take you in as European lawyer. But if you are an internet from another jurisdiction, then there is still this tiny, tiny chance that they might say, no, you're not, fulfilling all the criteria. But there is a list, and Laura knows this because I've talked to her about it, and she has all these lawyer communities, and we're trying to help as many as possible to, get this sorted out. And it's possible. It's totally doable, and the legal profession has made a lot of advancements in this sense.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. So I'm going on some tangents here. As not a lawyer, but as a businesswoman, you mentioned something like that would be like running my law practice out of Romania. From what I understand, Romania is an EU country with a much friendlier business climate, like less paperwork. So why wouldn't you just do that? Why wouldn't you just say, I'm going to have this €1 GmbH or whatever that you can get in Romania, and it's all easy, and it's like Estonia or one of these places that just makes it super easy to run your business, and just live in Germany and run have my business based there.
Yeah, no, I totally. And I have to say that behind the platform, the spotlegal.io platform, is a company in Romania, because in the beginning, when I launched the platform, I myself wasn't very familiar with the German system, like 100%. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the simple thing. I'm going to go in the jurisdiction that I already know. And I incorporated there, and I never changed it. And now I'm in a point stage in my business growth where I'm considering to found a company in Baden-Württemberg, but that's another conversation, right? Because of the opportunities that are available here. And it's not only that, why I chose to do my consulate here, and as a businesswoman, as you said, is at the end of the day, I guess, to build that trust with the client in the German market. I it's not that I couldn't have practiced the law with my law office from Bucharest. Of course, I could have. Like I said, there's nothing. It's totally allowed. I would have had my taxes done from Germany. Everything would have worked out perfectly. But I still had that experience that, it's a different kind of trust that you can build in the German market when you are, here. Why do I keep getting the German words in this
That's
conversation?
okay. I'm sure the
Gegründet,
audience is very fluent
gegründet.
in
Yeah,
Danglish. Everybody knows it's fine. That's spoken on this
crazy.
podcast.
I don't know. Yeah, just having a legal entity here, being regulated by the professional body. I'm also subject to the German Bar Association rule and regulations, not just my home country, just to be clear. Like, I'm subject to both now. And I did this for my clients. I wanted them to feel that they can trust 100% the entire process, and it's all, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, which also then leads me to ask this question. What percentage of your clientele is German versus foreign or European or whatever?
Yeah. So I've had Romanian clients and foreign clients from the USA to Brazil but German, 100%, none.
Okay. Because I would be fine if it's like, okay, this is like a Bucharest, but she's here. Like, that wouldn't bother me one bit.
No, that's actually incorrect, because, and you may know this already, this is part of the work that I do, is a lot of mentoring for startups. And in the past year, I've become a mentor for campus founders. It's a sub community in Heilbronn, where TUM, the Technical University of Munich, has an established, so to say, branch. And yeah, they have been, in a way, so to say, my clients, and there's that part. But what I meant is, in the spotlegal.io templates platform, I've never had any German clients, and the reason for that
Ah,
is it's not a platform for German speaking clients. It's a
Okay.
platform for
Right.
international clients. Yeah.
Okay, that's illuminating. So this isn't the sole thing you do. You also are a practicing lawyer in other advisory roles and like
Yeah.
legal roles, not just the templates. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay, then that makes total sense. Yes, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. Okay. So, how have you gotten the word out about your biz?
Mm. I've done a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
Um, it's like content marketing, networking in person or online. What else? I've done email marketing. I've done the whole spectrum. Like, tell me something that one could do, I'll do. It's like, no, but I really enjoy this part of the business, which hasn't always been the case, right? For a long time, I hated writing on social media and doing posts and things like that. But it's kind of become like, oh, I need to drink a glass of water today. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, is the way you market the templates versus your like advisory mentorship things, is that different?
I to this point, I haven't really made like a huge, how to say, separation.
Mhm.
Of course, as I grow and the templates grow, the Spot Legal project grows, and my consulate grows, I do see that there's a need to separate the two. Of course, there is a need from the perspective of whatever I do in the templates platform, it's not legal advice per se. It's more
Mhm.
going into the direction of education and, raising awareness around what people need in their businesses when they start out. And there are specific rules about how you can market yourself as a lawyer.
Hmm.
And so I have to kind of start drawing that line where it's more clear. This is what legal advice looks like and what I can do for you as an attorney. And this is where you can buy a digital product from the platform and inform yourself about certain things, and that's it.
Mhm.
So it's been kind of blurry up to this moment, I would say, but now I'm starting to separate a little bit more the projects, also in terms of the teams I want to build within each of them. And so, yeah, it's a new phase, so to say. It's starting to be a bit more. There are more aspects to the
Mhm.
growth of each business line, so to say.
Okay. And the marketing, all of the vast array of marketing types you've done, is there one that's worked better than others or that you've enjoyed more?
Oof. I mean, I'm starting to see the difference between them now, and like it's all about the clients that I'm working with and their needs, understanding better how I can serve them and meet them where they are. And this wasn't very clear in the beginning. Actually, my biggest challenge starting my own business in Germany was, apart from the, yeah, bureaucratic and how do I set myself, what kind of entity do I use, do I need to get registered with the bar, all of that we covered. The biggest challenge for me was, how do I take this 14 years of experience where I've done a lot of different types of projects, from large portfolio management and transactions and corporate and commercial and I don't know what, intellectual property, and oh, the GDPR. I was, there when our company had to switch to this
Mhm.
whole new set of rules and we had to become compliant, and it was crazy, but we did it like everyone else. How do I take all of this and then just, put it in a business? It's
Mhm.
simple. Find your ideal client and, it will all work out. no, that was my biggest challenge. I really didn't know how to translate, so to say, all the knowledge and expertise into something that is economically viable for the market now and market it then as such. So I had to do a lot of trial and error,
Hmm.
but I think what I got is I want spotlegal.io to always be that instrument for freelancers and business owners who are launching a business
Hmm.
um, out of Germany or out of any European country for that matter. And then the Kanzlei becomes more of a specific project-based practice where I work on funding and transactions and yeah, the more at the level of growth of the business where these people who have started out with spotlegal.io can see a clear pathway for themselves to grow out of Germany internationally.
Okay. Okay. So that's the split. You have the Spot Legal IO and then the Kanzlei, and that's how you.
Yeah.
This is kind of out of left field, but do you ha do you worry about AI in your profession?
I think worry is not necessarily my mindset, a good description of my mindset towards it, but I do think a lot about how do I incorporate this in my work.
Mhm.
And I'm actually working now with a PhD student in the technical university here in Germany, and we are planning on bringing this AI functionality in the spotlegal.io platform. It's just not something I can give a lot of detail about at the
Yeah.
moment because it's in inception, so to say. But it's not a worry. It's more of an, how to say, an ongoing commitment to incorporate it in such a way that we don't cross the line of what is actually legal advice. And this is not something to protect myself as a lawyer because I don't want to go out of business. I don't think that's going to happen. It's more in terms of how do I preserve the legal protections that people have and still use the AI, because I think that's what maybe a lot of people don't know. When you work with with a qualified attorney, you have legal privilege. Everything is private, is confidential. This is something very precious in the relationship between the attorney and the client, that you can actually model that idea you have before you launch in a safe environment.
Okay. And you can't do that with an AI.
Yeah, of course not. The AI eats up everything. There's no copyright protection. There's nothing
Yeah.
basically. You're just putting it out there.
Okay. Got it. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about your challenges, the challenges of building a business in Germany, all the qualification stuff. Would you say there's also been opportunities here?
I mean, definitely being able to launch spotlegal.io in Germany, I think would not have been possible if there was an opportunity on the German market. I think there's a huge opportunity on the German market, actually, not just for non-Germans, but for Germans too, to grow internationally. It's more easier than ever, in fact, because you do have all these tools, including the AI, that make it possible for anyone to offer their services or product anywhere. It's just a question of, do you have the right resources to do that, and how much time do you want to spend on it?
Hmm.
Do you want to do it by yourself, or do you want to do it with experts who have been through that process and can share with you some of the steps and guide.
Okay. And lastly, are there any lessons learned or things you would do over again or advice you have for anyone starting their own business here in Germany?
Lessons learned. Just because something is in German, it doesn't mean it's not possible. Uh, and then anything I would do differently, well, it's I've tried so many things. Like I did reach out for help. I did hire business advisors. I did talk to mentors. I did do my own research. I really I don't think anything would have, had a different turn, as far as I'm concerned. But it definitely helped to have like an accountability structure. This is something that made a huge difference to me because I'm also a mom, right? And moving into Germany and trying to integrate the whole family, yourself, your partner, the kids, and to
Right.
start a business on top of that. There were times where I was taking no action whatsoever, which was fine because I had a lot on my plate. But there were also working with coaches and advisors and talking to people made a difference in that sense that it always kept me somehow in the loop. And even if it wasn't a big step that I was making a huge development, a huge progress, there was progress the whole time. And I think you have to be patient. Like every person is where they are in their journey.
Yeah.
It's just it's your journey. It's so personal to you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Um, and then it also helped me to be part of to start going out of my bubble and network and meet people. And it took me a while to understand, yeah, maybe this was the big lesson, so to say. I was so reliant on my network back in Romania, and I was confident that, I've worked for so many years, I'm a professional, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone. But actually, in the job market, nobody knew me. So I had to build that up from scratch. And it took me a while to understand that, but that would
Right.
definitely be my best advice. Don't even build the business. Build your network first. Go ask some questions, see what people are complaining about, and then
Yeah,
start
100%.
thinking about building a business.
Yeah. Two of the things you said, about moving here, getting your family
Yeah.
settled and getting yourself settled and starting a business. That's like a full-time job right there, just moving here. But also, when you have kids, it can be, and you do have ambitions for a business, it can be frustrating because sometimes things don't move as fast as you want, or you can't do all the things. And when I have those moments, I just try to remind myself, like, one day my daughter will be grown and I'm building the foundation now, and I won't be starting from scratch later when I have more time. So every little bit of progress is important. And what you
Mhm.
said about
Yeah.
networking, I feel like when I went out on my own, I had already been here and worked here for 10, 11 years. And I feel like that was my biggest asset, not money, not whatever, but just like I had a huge network from working at
Yeah.
agencies. And then like my brother-in-law was a Steuerberater.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was worth its weight in gold. So yeah, that was just getting out there and meeting. Everybody says that. Everybody I talk to on this podcast always says network, network, network. So on that note, I will say thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story today.
Thank you so much, Eleanor, for having me. And I hope this, makes a difference to everyone who is listening. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Olivia. Bye. Thanks for listening. You can find this and all other Germany Expat Business Show podcasts at thegermanylist.de. Bye.